Cathrine Hatcher, we did a video about her daughter, and we set it up in 3 parts so that we could kind of go through it. And she hasn't really seen what we did, so don't act. She's going to kind of be surprised, but I think we did a good job. Anyway, instead of break, we're going to show the first part of it, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about her daughter, Amanda Marie. And thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're staying here because you're
joining
joining our group here, and we're going to talk about Catherine's foundation.
Excellent.
So we'll be right back.
Thank you, Catherine.
But watch this.
Okay.
The first time I ever met Amanda was when I just started working at LA Fitness.
Well, we were just so blessed because Amanda was our first granddaughter. We had a grandson, Amanda's brother, but we did not have a granddaughter. So it was like, wow, we have us a granddaughter.
Well, I actually met her the first time was my sophomore year, and it's actually Jason's fault. We were in art together, her brother, and we were talking about it, and we had tryouts that day, and he's like, oh, my sister's trying out. So I didn't meet her the first day, but the second day I went out and I looked for her, and I wanted her to come hang out with me and T, and it was, from then on, best friends.
She's gorgeous, and so she caught my eye, definitely.
Amanda is somebody who is always fun.
She's wonderful. She's beautiful, and she's always so positive. She always did positive things for everyone. She always thought of other people.
Tore my ACL during one of our high school games. I went in for surgery a couple weeks later. Who was there? Amanda, 6 a.m. bright and early. Her mom, coffee in her hands, ready to go.
She's like 5'2", and she played volleyball, and no matter what, she would always jump as high as any other girl. She worked so hard. She hustled. Even when somebody messed up, she'd be like, come on, you got it. Just shake it off. You can do it. Just made me want to be better.
She's awesome. She gets along with everybody. She'll make anyone feel comfortable. Talks to everybody. She's sweet. She jokes around, real laid back. At the same time, very outgoing.
I love her because she's confident. I love her because she makes me a better person. I love her because she's great.
It's just amazing how many areas that she excels in. Maybe one of the most obvious is her ability to capture the friendship of others.
No one, would be uncomfortable around her. I never smiled so much. Never been so happy.
Amazing friend. Loyal, trustworthy, everything. All the above. Anything you want to name about a character, she's that.
I can't be without her.
I mean, this is your daughter was amazing.
As a mom, you're gonna say, yeah, my daughter was amazing.
And she's pretty. Tell us about her.
What was I think gratifying for me as we went through these interview processes to create the movie that we're creating, a docudrama. I sat there 3 months after she passed away, watching this. We had 34 people that we interviewed, of her family and friends, and what was so gratifying for me was that they were saying all the same things that I felt about her. And I thought, okay, good, it's not just me, the mom, who thinks she's amazing. It's a lot of people. And she was truly amazing. She passed away at age 18, and she had a lot of life to live and a lot of love to give, because that's the kind of person she was.
Well, and I broke this in 3 parts. I thought I was going to surprise the audience, but like I said, you hadn't seen what we did. And then we have the next part, because at the beginning, I love the way, the artistry of how she did it and setting it up with Amanda being alive. And this is the second part. We cut it up in parts, unless you want to talk to some more. But tell me, I want to think about some things she did. She was 18. Was she 18 yet?
She was 18.
Barely.
No, she should have been 19 on her next birthday. So she died March the 7th. So we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary, and she would have turned 19 years old at that time. She was a freshman in college. She was working a job at Payway Asian Diner, and so she was very active. Loved her friends. What we decided to do with this video, because I wanted to reach out to young people, and I asked her best friend after she passed away, what will make them listen? And she said, we won't listen. She said, because we've heard it before. And so I started thinking, what can I do to make them listen? And so at the time I was in acting classes, pursuing some classes, and I was speaking to my acting coach about the docudrama, and she said, what you need to do is make them fall in love with her and then take her away from them. So the way that we decided to do that was to present her in present tense. And when I go into schools, and since April of last year I've spoken to 4,000 kids, we don't tell them that this is a person who's passed away. All we say is, you're about to see a story about a young lady. You may not know this young lady, but she could be someone like you, or she could even be you. And then the video starts with this opening where she's presented in present tense.
And we're going to be giving a link to the, there's going to be a link there to the entire feature, because we did compress it a little bit for time's sakes, because just playing it straight out, you can go watch it at YouTube. But I wanted to talk about what the foundation does and things. So are you ready to
let's do part two?
Yeah.
All right.
Time passes by so quickly, but I guess I thought you'd be here forever.
I was with her that night. We went. She met me at work, and then we went and ate dinner.
So I call my voicemail, and it's T. And T goes, I need to tell you something. And I hear her sniff. She's like, you need to call me back. And I was like, oh, crap, something's wrong. It's either Tori or Amanda.
I had a couple drinks, and then we talked, and then we were going to go home. And I didn't have a phone at that point. So when I got home, I called her cell phone probably 20 times, and I didn't get an answer.
So I call her back, and I'm like, what is it? What's wrong? And she goes, well, there's been an accident. I was like, okay, someone hurt. She's like, Amanda's dead. And I was like, for a second, I didn't hear the last part of it. I go, what? And she's like, Amanda's gone.
I talked to her mom, and she told me, and I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't think. I couldn't move. I just froze.
I saw our boss at Starbucks, so I went to go get a coffee, and he told me, and I couldn't believe it. My heart just dropped. Could not believe it.
It was the worst pain I've ever felt in my whole life.
I heard about the accident when Cathrine called me in the morning saying that Amanda was in an accident and she passed away. And I couldn't believe it at first. And then she gave me more information about the fire, and I still couldn't believe it.
I got this phone call from my wife Nancy, and I can recall staring out at the golf course, and she gave me the news. It was totally unbelievable. I can remember just staring off into space, and the silence was so long that Nancy would say, hello, are you there?
I got a phone call from Kathy, and Amanda's been in an accident, and he keeps going, and I said, and she's in an accident, and he said, and he just, it was like the phone went dead. There was just nothing after I told him. I said, are you still there? Are you still there? And there must have been 2 minutes of silence on the other end of the line. It was like he too was just in shock.
I immediately went to the bridge and took her flowers and tried to say goodbye.
I basically fell apart.
Well, in this section of the, this is a trailer to the full-length piece that we're working on still, but in this section, basically I'm trying to show pain. And the reason I'm doing that is I have an online survey that kids between the ages of 14 and 25 have filled out, and I have so far 1,181 respondents to the survey. And it's got 10 questions, and one of the questions is, of all the ways that you hear about drinking and driving, what's the most effective way?
She was, and that was the point. Is she was distracted driving, but
she had a drink.
Drunk,
well, her BAC was over the legal limit. However, she did speak with the police officers at one point during that time. He walked her to her car, looked at her ID, and obviously she was in control. So, but here's what I tell kids: she and her boyfriend had been fighting. And when you mix alcohol with any amount of emotion, you magnify it by twice at least. But so in this survey that
she was on the phone.
She was on the phone calling for help when somebody stopped to try to help her, and it scared her, and the friend on the phone told her to get out of there. So when she sped off, she missed the curve in the road and hit a bridge head on. But the question that I'm playing this part of the interviews to is, what is your greatest fear about driving under the influence? And out of 1,146 respondents, 749 of them, that's 65% of them, say that their greatest fear is hurting or killing someone else. And so in that interview, you hear them say, I was hurt. I froze. I couldn't move. I'm trying to show pain, so that when I go into schools and talk to kids about their choices, about what's going to happen if something happens to you, it's really not just about you. And God forbid if you hurt anyone else along the way.
It's the family you leave behind.
It's your family and your friends. There were 500 people at that funeral, and this was during spring break. So there were 500 people at that funeral. There were a lot of people that were hurting, a lot of people.
Yeah, and so you're not, it's not just when she hit that bridge, she didn't hurt anybody, but
she died instantly.
That's good. I mean,
I
say that only because you
well, I
the
didn't.
car caught fire.
The car exploded on impact and burned 45 minutes, so they couldn't get to her. I never got to see my daughter. I never got to say goodbye. And these kids can't fathom that, And also, too, studies show that young girls, if let's say a young girl wants to commit suicide, she will never shoot herself, or rarely shoot herself in the face, because she wants to be beautiful at the funeral. Okay, when I tell these children that car burned for 45 minutes, the girls can't even imagine dying like that in an unpretty way. And I read the autopsy several times just so I could understand it. As a mom, I had to know. And the autopsy confirmed she died because there was no soot in her lungs, which means she didn't breathe in all that smoke. But we were picking up pieces of her car a half a mile away. A half a mile. So, for weeks I went back to the bridge and would find a little piece of this or a little piece of that. It was a horrible accident.
I'm so sorry for you,
Thank
family,
you.
And that's what the point it makes in that.
Well,
is that her friends, her mother, her grandparents.
We're all suffering.
Yeah.
We're all suffering. And here's the thing: is that she wouldn't want that. She was just that most happy-go-lucky girl. Before we play the next segment, maybe I've given WT something. She wrote 23 poems when she was 13 years old, and here's one of the poems that she wrote that is most quoted by her friends and family.